I set Climbing Out up after my own life-changing injury, and we run 5-day mental resilience programs for people who've been through a life-changing trauma. The aim is to empower them to take control of their own mindset, their own emotions, and their own behaviours. We're not there to look at the past. We're not counsellors, we're not therapists, so that we're not there to deal with the actual trauma. It's when someone is in the right place in their recovery that they want to start moving forwards, they just don't know how to. So we're there to look at the future and how to make the future the best it possibly can be. Our aim by the end of the week is that people will have a whole toolbox to take away with them that they can apply to life that will help them manage their own mental well-being. My belief is that we can't change things that we don't understand. So our aim on the programmes is to help participants make sense of why they think, feel and behave the way that they do. Once they make sense of it, they can start to make changes. So the really important part of the programme is that we look at the how. Once you understand it, how do you start to make those changes? I got fed up of hearing about think positively and everything will be okay. Always focus on the positives. There's always something to be positive about. And what that used to tell me was that someone really doesn't understand. Because when you're struggling with your mental well-being, when you're struggling with your motivation, when you're struggling to make sense of things, it's really difficult to take that first step. So what we aim to do on the programme is to be realistic, straight talking and practical, and really make sure participants understand the how. How do I start to make these changes? And that gives them a much better chance of actually taking those tools home with them and doing something with them after the programme's finished. I set Climbing Out up after my own life-changing injury. So I was following a professional sporting career, had a freak accident one day that left me unable to run. And in a split second, my whole life was turned upside down and all my plans for the future changed. The thing that I found hardest to deal with was the mental impact of that injury. No one could see my injury, so I felt like people were making judgment. They thought I was lazy, I was unmotivated, I was unfit, I was unathletic, which was everything that I wasn't. And that was what really stopped me from moving forwards, and I became really stuck in a rut. And that's what's given me the passion for Climbing Out, to try and help people who are stuck where I used to be stuck, and to give them the tools and the hope and the realisation that they do have a choice. They don't have to stay stuck. And once you know how to move forwards, you can start getting going again. So how do we achieve all of that? There's 3 layers to the programmes. The first layer is the outdoor activities and all the benefits that they bring from being outdoors, being active, teamwork, camaraderie, friendship, pushing comfort zones. The second layer is the social side, bringing people together who've been through shared experiences. Everyone on the programme has been through some kind of trauma, and that creates a really safe place not to talk about what's happened. As I said before, we're not there to talk about the past, we're there to look at the future. That safe place is about creating a safe place to challenge people's thinking, to challenge their perspective, and to challenge their boundaries. And that's done through the third layer, which is the mental resilience coaching. And this really is the life-changing bit, but works to the extent that it does because of the environment created through those first 2 layers. The way I describe the mental resilience coaching is if you think of your mental well-being being like a table, and the tabletop is your mental resilience and mental strength. That tabletop doesn't work unless it's got table legs to hold it up. Now, what I found in my own recovery was that no one told me what those table legs were. And if you don't know about them, you can't support your table of mental well-being. So our aim on the programmes is to give participants a whole toolbox of table legs that they can take home with them and pull out the relevant table legs for their situations or situations that might happen in the future. The one thing I always say about the Climbing Out programmes is we can't work magic. It can't stop the challenges from happening in the future, but hopefully it will give participants the tools to manage those challenges a bit better. We work with anyone aged 18 years and over who's been through a life-changing injury, illness or trauma. We do a huge amount of work with the emergency services, the military and the NHS, but we also support people who've been through bereavement, bullying, abuse, an acquired illness, disability, or survivors of crime and terrorism. Everyone's an individual. There aren't any strict guidelines as to who falls within who we support and who doesn't. And sometimes it's easier to say who we don't work with then. So we don't work with people who have conditions from birth. We don't work with people who have a mental illness that isn't related to trauma. So things such as borderline personality disorder, psychosis, or bipolar. We don't work with people who have a current or active addiction. However, what I always say is that we treat everybody as an individual. Someone may have turned to alcohol as a result of trauma. That doesn't mean we won't take them on a programme. Someone may have had a drug problem in the past as a result of trauma. That doesn't mean we won't take them on a programme. They must, however, be clean and dry before we would consider them for a place. We look to work with people who are in the right place in their recovery journey. They want to move forwards, they want to get back on with life, they just don't know how to. So the really important thing is the language they're using. They're not looking for someone to fix it for them, they just want some help to be able to fix it for themselves. So we have different programmes in different locations with different levels of physical challenge. So I can allocate a place to people on the right programme for them. And when I talk to people once they've sent their referral form in, it's really about assessing how fit they are, what physical limitations they have, their attitude to life, and then I try and load people on the relevant programme for them so that they can have the best possible experience. So people don't have to be super fit to come on a programme. Yes, they are active programmes, but we're not beasting people up mountains and down rivers. They're long days, but the activities are adapted to meet the needs and capabilities of the group. We load people with similar levels of physical capabilities on the same programmes so that we can set the activities at the right pace and level of challenge for everybody. So something we're incredibly passionate about at Climbing Out is that this just isn't a 5-day programme that people leave on Friday feeling amazing, but 2 weeks, 2 months later, they're back to where they were when they started. So we wanted to put things in place to make sure that this made a long-term difference to people's lives. So there's ongoing support there for any participant that comes on a Climbing Out programme. We have a Climbing Out club that's available to anyone who comes on a 5-day programme. There's a closed Facebook group where that is only available to members who've been through a programme. So it's a really safe space for people to communicate, to chat, to celebrate their successes or share any challenges that they face. There's also a number of single-day activities that we call walk and talk days. And that again is a chance for people to come back, recharge their Climbing Out batteries, meet up with other participants and grow their network of friendship and support. We have an annual fundraising hike, we have a charity ball that happens every other year, and we also have a team of ambassadors that are now organising their own events and activities so people can meet up all over the country on a more regular basis. A new thing that we've put in place, which is really exciting, is our Exped programmes. We recognise that people sometimes need a next step. What follows after the programme so that they continue their journey of growth and development. So we've introduced the Exped programmes, which include a mountaineering expedition in Scotland, a wilderness canoeing expedition in Sweden, and a mountaineering expedition in the Alps. People have to apply to come on these programs once they've been through a 5-day program. And again, we really put the responsibility onto the participants. We're not there just to give them an easy handout, because there's no real development and learning from that. So the aim of the XBED programs is that they're involved in the fundraising, the planning, the preparation, the training. They have to make a commitment and be determined to improve themselves and work as a team so that they get the most out of the expeditions. There are so many success stories that I could tell you, but really it's better to hear it directly from the participants themselves.
I've tried lots of different things previously, counselling, and things have just got progressively worse. With my role as well, there's a lot of trauma. I've experienced a lot of things within my role as a police officer, and I guess the trauma just built up, and I wasn't coping very well with it at all.
With climbing out, you're in a room full of people with not the same story, but all with a big story for why they're here, and they're all here for the same reason. And that's why I feel so much of an open space, and that's why I travel 4 corners of the country, getting to wherever I need to be, because it's the only thing I've done in the past almost 8 years, which has worked. So it's really given me a different outlook on how I deal with traumatic experience.
It was a real turning point for me, because it felt like I didn't have the skills before, and my confidence was so low. I just kept telling myself I couldn't do things, and I started to believe that. And through climbing out, I've been able to acknowledge that I might not be the fastest at doing things, but I can still do them, and there's literally nothing stopping me. Yes, I might be physically bigger and not as fit as other people, but for me, I can still do anything that I want to do.
The question that everyone always wants to ask is, how much does it cost? The great news is there is no cost to any of the participants. All the programs are fully funded. All we ask is that people can get themselves to the hostel on the Monday and home again on the Friday. If someone's travelling by train, we do a pick-up from the train station, but apart from that, everything else is covered and the places are fully funded. So how do we turn all of this into action? How do you actually refer someone to come on the programme? So we have 2 referral forms. You can either refer someone yourself, or people can self-refer. The links are on our website. You'll find them on the programmes page on the website. Just scroll down and you'll see a link to the referral form and the self-referral form. It's a really quick, easy process, and from there I'll contact the potential participant directly and arrange a time to have a call with them. In that call, I'll chat through what's involved with the programme, what we hope to participants will get out of the programme, and from there, between us, we'll decide whether climbing out is the right support for that individual, and if it is, which programme is the right programme. So I hope you found all of that information useful. If you've any other questions, please do get in touch. I look forward to hearing from you.